right. This is impromptu, but also, you know, I've I thought about this after the weekend. I did the authors event, Get Lit at the Beach this weekend. Been thinking about doing something to kind of recap it, but then a lot of amazing things have happened um, since then and before then. Um, but also, I should probably, not probably, yes, I definitely should. It's our dad's birthday, April 22nd. So, me, Michael, and Wes. Um, our dad's not with us anymore, but today is his birthday. And it's his second birthday since he passed. Um, yeah, passed on New Year's Eve. So it's 2 years and I guess almost 4 months since he passed. And I did see Wes and Pamela. Looks like they had an amazing vacation in the Keys. I think that's the only place you can turn left and look at the Atlantic and turn right and look at the Gulf. So you must have been down to the Keys. At first, and I showed Krista your photos, Wes. And at first, I thought you were kind of in Destin again, which is on the panhandle of Florida. But then once I saw you say, I first time seeing the Atlantic, and then I turn right and I see the Gulf. Yeah, that's amazing. That's awesome. Let me get this part out of the way before I mess it up. Um, a really happy, and I have to keep things anonymous, but a really happy thing happened today. It was a busy day at work, and then it kind of got crazy later in the day. But anyway, a member came in for a rotation. We ended up just recommending the tires are low on tread, and it's a young member. Her and her mom, or I think, are on the membership together. And we had to tell her, look, you should. These are really low. The tires are not. You need to replace them soon. And she checked with her mom, and her mom was like, yeah, let's just replace them. We had some tires on hand, so we were able to do four new. And it was so amazing because I didn't find out until the end. Her mom came there, and they were together, and I was, oh, yeah, your car's ready to go. I think you have some inside edge wear on this one tire. Maybe, get the alignment checked. And I'm talking to them, and her and her mom are right there, and rang them up for the tires. And then it was so genuine. It was so genuine. That's the word I want to use, and authentic. But the daughter, who obviously I can't say her age for privacy reasons, but she was very young, and mom was there. But her daughter was like, "Hey, so I just needed to say, do you remember this thing that happened at your Costco?" And it was several months ago. I'm trying to be vague on purpose. And I said, "Well, of course I do." And this traumatic incident involved her, and I said, "Oh my gosh, yes, I was there, yes, and I remember you now. I didn't recognize her." But anyway, um, she just genuinely wanted to say, you and all your coworkers, everybody in the tire shop were so kind and considerate and helped her out so much. She just wanted to say thank you. And I was like, oh my gosh, I am so glad you said that. I was worried about you because I didn't obviously hadn't. There's no way for me to know the end, the result of that incident. Um, but yeah, it was really rewarding that we made a difference in this young girl's life, and her mom was just seemed amazing. Both seemed like amazing people. It was very thoughtful of her to say that, like, to make a point to say that. And I shared it with the tire shop, or I will. I shared it with a couple people that were there on the day of this event. And anyway, I just want to get that out there. made my friggin' millennium. Because I had been worried about how she was doing since then, and I didn't recognize her. So that was friggin' awesome. Um, yeah, sometimes the universe works in mysterious ways. Yeah. Now, let's move on. Gosh, let's see. I am looking forward to doing Sean Servo's. I'm not gonna say his birthday. Well, let's say he turns 35 on May 2nd. Anyway, and my brother Wes is going to be able to fly out. Michael can't make it, I don't think, but I'm really looking forward to that. I'm going to check in with him, go down, see the venue, and get a song list from him. That's going to be awesome. But yeah, I guess I'm just not avoiding, but there's other stuff I wanted to cover on this. Um, and shout out to Gwen and Teresa, my two listeners. Um, yes, Gwen, I'm going to keep talking mean to animals in a nice voice. But yeah, this was this past weekend, the 17th, 18th, 19th of April was the latest incarnation of Get Lit at the Beach, and Terry Brooks made it. And I didn't. He actually wasn't at. I think I told people this, but he wasn't added to the list of authors until maybe a month or so before. And I understand. Terry is technically retired. He has found, and I didn't know he was going to do this, obviously, until I saw him, announce it. But he has found an author. He's handpicked an author to continue the Shannara legacy, continue writing books in the Shannara world. Her name is Delilah Dawson. And he's technically retired. He years in Cannon Beach, Oregon, which is where this event was. But he, as he, him and his amazing wife Judine are, they're getting up there. They wanted to move back closer to family, which are kind of in the Seattle area. So he doesn't live in Cannon Beach anymore, and I was not expecting him to be there, but he was. And him and Judine both came down, and Terry emceed it again, which is what he has always done. It was so amazing to be able to see Terry again, because I wasn't expecting it. And he killed it, man. Gosh, the energy was great. Terry, you're never going to see this, but you are not as old as you think. You still have it. And your cognitive ability, it's still really good. So that was awesome. But not to take away from the four amazing authors that were at this year's Get Lit event. Karen Russell, Claudia... Fuck, I'm going to screw this up. Karen Russell, Claudia Rowe, Eileen Garvin, and Laurie Frankel. God, yes! Dunk, mic drop. Claudia Rowe, Eileen Garvin, Laurie Frankel, and Karen Russell. All right. Oh my gosh. I'm so glad I got that right. And they were all amazing. All of the authors. It was such a gift to hear them. And Eileen, Krista bought your book, and then I bought Karen's book. So it's The Antidote by Karen Russell. And the inspiration there, I'll make this short, was Karen also grew up on Terry Brooks with his Shannara series and his, fantasy novels. And once I met her and heard her talk, and then we also were able to connect, I was like, oh my gosh, you were just as much of a dork as I was. Like, I was just waiting for Terry's next book all through middle school, junior high and high school, I kept waiting for Terry to put the next book out, and Karen was the same way. And then she ends up becoming. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember if Karen calls it fantasy. I think she does. And I haven't read any of her work, but I'm gonna read this one. Um, this one takes place in. I mean, it's a period piece, but it takes place in, like, our world, in the Dust Bowl, I believe. So it's not like a totally different fantasy land, kind of like, Lord of the Rings or the Shannon series. It takes place in America during the Dust Bowl, but there are fantasy elements, and I'm really looking forward to reading it. And then Eileen Garvin, what a sweetheart. I had been bugging her before this event to be on my podcast, and she was so kind, and she actually responded, and she lives in Hood River, and we were trying to coordinate. And then once I actually got to meet her in person, and her awesome husband Brendan, got to talk with him, and he's a musician. Actually, they're actually both musicians, so I'm looking forward to that. And Eileen is on a book tour now for her new one. The Bumble. God, I should have this down. Thank God nobody watches my podcast. It's about bumblebees. Eileen Garvin. Anyway, she's on a tour, busy for the next couple months, but we're going to connect in the summer and do the podcast in Hood River. And then Laurie Frankel. Oh my gosh. I feel like I cracked her up. She maybe has gotten. God, I don't want to name drop, but she has maybe gone through some of the same, in this world of social media, and she maybe has had to shrapnel, for her book, which kind of addresses, the LGBTQ community and gender issues with kids, which, she can actually speak from firsthand experience. I'm trying not to share too much, but it was really powerful hearing her talk. She's going through it, and she probably has more of a fucking perspective than the idiots that are commenting on her book, which most of them haven't read it. So go fuck yourselves. And then Claudia Rowe, long career as a news reporter, but also she's written at least two books, kind of focused on real life stories, dealing with some people that have committed horrible crimes, but a lot of it has to do with the entire foster care system, and how what it's like if you are introduced into the foster care system, and kind of what their stories are. The stories of the people, they were kids when they got into it, but then even as adults, she has talked to them, what that life is like, and maybe ways we can improve it. Okay, I wish I would have recorded all the authors talking, but yeah, it was an incredible event. So it's called Get Lit at the Beach. It happens every April in Cannon Beach, Oregon. It's a 3-day event, so you get there Friday. There's a reception with the authors at 5 p.m. And then the Wine Shack. I'm going to try to give shout outs to all the sponsors and vendors in Cannon Beach. The Wine Shack, the Cannon Beach Bookstore, Jupiter Books. God, I'm forgetting so many people. Anyway, the event is at the Surf Sand Hotel. So the Friday night thing is at the Cannon Beach, like, community hall, whatever. And then the Wine Shack will host another author. I'm sorry. So this year it was Carrie something. God, I'm sorry, Carrie. She is a wine um, writer, and then she had a friend, and she's a published author, and then she had another friend that was a published author, and then another guy who was kind of a local som, and I'm blanking on the names, but it was a really good speech at the wine shack, or a really good talk, from three different perspectives of kind of obviously focused on Oregon wine, um, but there was just a lot of wisdom and introspection on that talk. It was amazing. And then Saturday, so there was the four authors I mentioned. We start at 9 in the morning. The first author talks, and then the second author talks, and then we have a break for lunch, and then we come back in the afternoon. The third author talks, and then there's a break. We come back for dinner. Um, this all happens at the Surf Sand Resort, and then we have a keynote speaker, and they talk, and it was amazing. And this was so random, so I did, I was lucky enough to be at the cool kids table. But then also, Karen Russell was the keynote speaker that night, and she was the one that also grew up, you know, loving Terry Brooks. And at some point, I heard her say, "Oh, apparently, we're going to the bonfire," because that's another thing. The weather permitting, the Surf Sand Resort, for the guests, they're right on the beach, but they will do like a nightly bonfire, like however many people want to go out there and have a bonfire on the beach. They will bring the Adirondack plastic chairs, and they will build your own little bonfire, like just in the sand. So I heard Karen say that after I bought her book and made her sign it for me. And I was there with Krista. Oh my gosh. Second year, Krista went with me, and this was so awesome. And oh, that reminds me, there's other people I have to give shout outs to. But since I knew they were going to be there, I had to pack up my gear, um, four speakers, the audio, the mixer, and all that stuff, stands, packed it up, got it safe, and then I was like, we have to go. And from our room at the surf sand, we just walked down there, and the first little bonfire we saw, was the authors. And it was all four authors. Oh my gosh. I couldn't have planned it better. Um, all four authors. Jesus. Claudia, Karen, Eileen, and Lori were all sitting there. And then Eileen's husband, who we were lucky enough to meet, and I'll tell that story, Brendan, he was also there, and they were just around a fire, and then they were so gracious to let us join them. And we just sat there on the beach in the sand with a bonfire and talked. And we felt so welcomed. And it was so gosh damn cool. And Eileen and Brendan had their amazing little dog. Not little, it's a big dog. It's like a black lab. They had brought them down the beach. And of course, Krista loves dogs. So Krista was loving that shit. But yes, oh God, we had that. And after how many years of doing this event? God, I think the first year I went was 2014. I went as a guest. And then the next year is when I first started actually running sound for them. But I've done at least 10 or 12 of these events running sound for them, working it. This was the first time. I mean, I made friends with the authors. Obviously, not friends, but like Jonathan Emerson. Oh my gosh, he was there twice, and he's friggin' awesome, and we're friends on Facebook, and he was so kind, nice enough to do my dumb podcast. So yes, I have made connections with authors, but this was the first time that I got to hang out with them at the event outside of them doing their speech. And oh my gosh, all four of these authors this year were so kind and accommodating, and I think I did crack them up because I told them the story about, we're literally on the beach with a bonfire, and I was dumb enough to bring my guitar. I didn't play it, but I told them about, the Barbie movie, and like I had to watch the Barbie movie with the scene where all the Kens are on the beach playing their guitars for the Barbies. And it wasn't until I watched that movie where I realized how fucking annoying I am because I bring my guitar everywhere. And I think that I saw them cracking up, so that was funny. I definitely need to give some more shout outs to Tracy Abel, who makes this event happen. Oh my gosh. Obviously, with a lot of support from Terry, um, Nathan, who does the photos, and all the vendors, Cannon Beach Book Company, the Wine Shack, Jupiter Books, the city of Cannon Beach, Talavana Arts Colony. I do believe there are, and I'm leaving stuff out, but yes, so many amazing people. So it was so good to see Tracy again. And then her better half, Todd, his sister came this year. And I'm sorry I forgot your name, but it was cool to meet Todd's sister because I, obviously see Todd once a year for 12 years. But his sister, I believe, I don't. I think she's still in the Colorado area, and I learned after listening to her ask questions of the author that she's a school teacher, so that was awesome, and she seems like a sweetheart. And then I got to connect with my um, once a year get lit friends, so Luke and Lexi. So last year, Lexi was there, and I believe Lexi is like Tracy's niece or cousin. But for years, every time I would go, it would be Luke and Lexi. And we just made a joke, like they're awesome. And we would see each other once a year at Get Lit. So last year, Lexi came, but Luke didn't. This year, Luke came with his friend Justin. Oh, thank God for Justin. Awesome. But Lexi couldn't, and it was funny. Luke was like, "Oh, I think she's on a cruise or something on vacation, doing something fabulous." But yeah, Luke came with his friend Justin, and we all sat at the same table for the keynote speaker, the dinner Saturday night, and then Krista, was right next to Justin. It was perfect because everybody hit it off. And Krista was so happy because I was working, so I had to keep getting up. Not a lot, but Krista like enjoyed the conversation with Justin and Luke so much. And then right next to Luke was a first time Get Lit guest named Rachel, and I have her business card. She lives in Florence, but she actually drove up for this event, and gosh, she was a sweetheart too. It was really good to connect. I made so many new connections, reconnected with some old friends, and yeah, just very overwhelmed. We came back. Oh, and then yeah, went to the Coaster Theater for the Sunday event, which is open to the public, where all the authors do a panel discussion. That was amazing. And then we were like, okay, it's noon, we need some food, so we went to the Wayfarer restaurant, which is right next to the surf sand, and let's just get some breakfast. And it was so funny, like about a half hour after we were there, then Terry and Judine came in with a group, some people that had been at the event, and I was able to, I didn't know they were going to be there, and they didn't know I was going to be there. But as we were leaving, I was able to say, hey, good to see you guys. Let's do it again next year. And Judine, Terry's wife, at this point, it's an honor that Terry and Judine actually recognize me. They know who I am. And I was able to say it's an honor. Hey, we'll do this next year, and yeah, it was great. So, again, Tracy, Terry, Judine, Wine Shack. Yeah, and I did learn that Steven sold the Wine Shack to some other local business owners, and I love what you've done with the place. I mean, it's very similar, but it was awesome. And then we learned that on Friday when we stopped in to see Steven and met Shelly, who is still working there. I work for Steven, and she's still there. We had a great conversation, bought some great wine. So yeah, I'm gonna wrap this up. It was just an amazing experience. Really, really amazing weekend. Um, Looking forward to it again, and we're pretty sure it's going to happen again. Um, but I am grateful for it every time I can do this. I picked up Terry's first book, The Sword of Shannara, when I was in sixth grade. Read it cover to cover, and I could never imagine that. Gosh, that would have been 82, something like that. 12, and then I mean, at least 30 years later, there's no way I could have imagined that after reading all of his books and just waiting for the next one, that eventually he would land in Cannon Beach, live there, and start a book event, and then I would be able to, for some reason, get myself into it, find a way to help, and actually get to meet him and connect with him. Yeah, it's a really great story. So, all right, I'm gonna tap out. I, have some other guest book. So, thank you all for listening. Teresa, Gwen, you are the best. Please keep supporting the podcast. Love you all.